I want to give you 5 tips to help you make a large long neck bottle.
This one's going to be a little bit bigger.
For this project, I'm going to use about 6 pounds of clay. Now I've already wedged it and I've thrown it down nice and hard on the bat to make sure it's got a good seal.
First thing I'm doing is centering this clay. I don't want to spend all day doing this. This is not my favorite part of throwing a pot. This is a necessary part of throwing a pot.
I know that this first tip is really basic, but the first tip I'm going to give you is to make sure that you have your clay good and centered. If it's a little off center right now, it's going to translate into problems later. Just remember the basics. Center the clay really good. Give yourself a firm, good foundation. Open it up nice and evenly. Compress the bottom, and then move forward. You'll see that I do a knuckle pull on the first pulls with this much clay. That way I can put my whole fist up against the pot and lift that clay up.
First pull is my favorite part. At this point, it's got all the potential. It can become almost whatever it wants to be. All I have to do is finish lifting, thinning out the walls, and shaping it. So it's got so much potential at this point. It's one of my favorite spots. The second pull is my second favorite spot because it just grows so much more.
All right, my second tip, this one may take a little bit of practice, but what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to try to throw the wall up in 3 or 4 pulls. 3 or 4 pulls. What this will do is it will make it so the walls don't get super soggy with water, and it will give it more strength to hold the weight of that long neck top later on.
Try to get it a little thin. Start to give it a little shape. Okay, there we go.
When I am pulling that wall up, I want it to be as tall as I can get it and as narrow as I can get it. I want it just big enough for my arm to fit down inside. I don't want to make it too wide because you don't want a whole lot of territory to cover when you're trying to collar that in. While you're shaping this, you're going to want to shape that belly right to the point where you want it to be.
Okay. At this point, I'm going to scrape off some of the slip.
This is tip number 3. What you're going to want to do is scrape off that exterior with a metal rib. Basically, when you scrape that, it helps compress that wall a little bit and gives it so much more strength. I know people that also scrape the interior. I don't necessarily do that, but I know of people that do. So those are 2 things that you can try. My 4th tip is to collar that neck in gradually. You want to use many passes. The biggest mistake that people make in collaring their pots is that they try to bring it in too quickly. So by using many passes, you can bring it in slowly, one little pass at a time, and success will happen. So when you start to throw a bottle and you start to bring that clay inward, 3 different things can happen, and usually at least 2 of them do. The first thing that almost always happens is that the clay gets thicker, and it requires you to thin that out some more as you're bringing it in. The second thing that can happen is that one side will shoot up higher than the other side. The third thing that can happen is the lip edge, the top part, will waffle and start to cause some problems. Make sure that as you are coloring in that you continually go back to that rib and scrape off the excess slip and water. You still don't want that to penetrate the clay and make it soggy. And you can see that I can put my fingers in there as far as I can reach and try to thin out that top as it's getting thicker. You want to continually do that as it goes further and further in, because it just gets thicker. The wall will get thicker and thicker and thicker. Eventually you need to just cut off the top. So grab your needle tool and chop off the top where you need to, so you can make a nice even top on it. Just continue to pinch that with your fingers and bring it upward and upward, and pull it some more and shape that neck a little bit more until you got it right where you want it. And my fifth tip is actually a drying tip. Turns out that if air hits one side of your pot with a long skinny neck on it, it will actually shrink that side more than the other, and it will bend that top that direction, causing your whole pot to look like you threw it with a crooked long neck. So dry it carefully. The final stage of finishing the pot is to trim off the excess clay on the very bottom. After that, it should be done.